The best of straight talk on Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey undoubtedly gives some of the best advice, but he also invites guests on his show to chip in on pressing matters. Today we count down the best of straight talk on the show. Watch until the end, and remember to leave a comment. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Let's get it going. 10. Taking your ex on a honeymoon. Gwyneth and her ex-husband Chris Martin have a modern way of co-parenting, and they spend a lot of time together for the sake of their children. However, they shocked fans when Chris Martin went on Gwyneth's recent honeymoon. Steve Harvey asked the panel what they thought about the arrangement. Apparently, Gwyneth went on a honeymoon with a couple of her friends and family members, including her ex-husband, Chris Martin. Some people like Katie O'Brien would remain friends with their exes, but other people prefer staying away as much as possible. Well, regardless of whether someone is on good terms with their ex or not, the panel agreed that it's too weird to take an ex-husband on a honeymoon. Chris Martin probably went with someone, but photos which were taken of him and the new husband proved they were two men who were really trying to get along. We're always told that if you go looking for something on someone else's phone, you will find precisely what you're looking for. 9. Sharing passwords with your partner. If you don't share your password with your partner, does it automatically mean that you're hiding something? This was Steve's question to his esteemed panelists. A lot of crazy things may go down in the DMs. Some may be on purpose and others may not be on purpose. So many people prefer not to share their passwords to avoid unnecessary confrontations. Daisy Fuentes was for the idea that passwords shouldn't even be shared and everyone deserves their privacy. And the rest of the panelists shared her sentiments.
It's not even a question. No, we're all individuals. We all deserve our privacy.
Jillian pointed out that she wouldn't mind if her significant other had the password to her phone because, God forbid, if something happened, then someone would be able to access the phone. However, if it reaches a point where you're asking for the password, there's something bigger eating up at the relationship and not the password. Steve Harvey said that his wife has all his passwords and she's allowed to answer his phone calls and vice versa. The only restriction they have is that the significant other isn't allowed to interfere with personal accounts for whatever reasons.
But my phone, I agree with Jillian because I'm at a level in my life, I'm older than y'all. So, look, my phone stay on the counter, downstairs.
Children are very important to any sane parent, and most parents would give up anything for the sake of their children, including love. 8. Kids between a perfect match. In our current time, many people go into relationships while already having a kid or kids, and they also might find their partners with children. The relationship between the couple may be as perfect as it can get, but if the kids don't approve of the relationship, it becomes tedious and frustrating. Some people believe that the children's opinion matters, but others would still pursue the love regardless of what their kids may think. It's something Steve faced when he was about to marry his wife, Marjorie. When they first introduced the children to each other, they told Steve and Marjorie that they shouldn't get married because they weren't right for each other. The children also had reasons to back their claims. Harvey knew his stance and he told them that 7 people with no prior commitment didn't have the right to say to him whether he should marry the love of his life or not. Luckily, Marjorie, who was more calm, asked him to leave the room so she could talk to the children. Otherwise, it would have been something else. When it comes to matters about birthdays, it's always advisable to start low so that a child doesn't over-expect big parties when they're older. 7. The first birthday. You'd think that for a 1-year-old, the parent wouldn't spend a lot of money on their birthday for a couple of reasons. First of all, a 1-year-old doesn't know 20 other babies their age, and they wouldn't have an idea of what's happening on a birthday. For such a birthday, one would probably need juice, snacks, some decorations, and a cake, but some parents go out of their way to spend thousands of dollars on the first birthday party, like an Australian mother who made headlines after spending $10,000 on her baby's first birthday. The question was, if she spent $10,000 on her child's first birthday, how much will she spend on the kid's 16th birthday? Steve and his panelists agreed that it was ridiculous to spend so much money on a birthday for a little human who won't even remember the event. One of the panelists admitted that she spent a lot of money on her baby's first birthday, but it wasn't for the baby, it was for herself. Long before scientists did their brain researches, women preferred older men to younger men, and the reasons why still vary. 6. Women dating older men. During puberty, the brain matures and it begins to prune information that is stored and focus on what is essential. For girls, this can happen as early as 10 years old, but for boys, it can take until between 15 and 20 for the same. Steve's panelists said that ideally, a woman would prefer an older man because men of the same age don't have the same level of maturity. Also, society makes it difficult for a woman to date a younger man because they'll be labeled as a cougar. Many women have passed on the opportunity to date a good-looking, successful guy because of their age. While dating an older man might also depend on the phase of life. It's okay to date a man who's 10 years older, but if we're talking about an 18-year-old dating a 28-year-old, then they'll have a lot of misunderstandings. They'll be two different people living in entirely different worlds and in different time zones. There's no set rules when it comes to going out on a first date, and it can either go well or terribly wrong. 5. Expensive food on a first date. A student took a lady on a first date and she ordered a lobster and an expensive glass of wine. Her bill was $180. The man, on the other hand, ordered pasta and a bottle of beer, and his bill was $20. When the waiter took the bill, he only paid for his meal, and the situation attracted various responses from different people. Steve's panel also had conflicting opinions about the situation. Adriana thought it was rude to order expensive food, and even worse if the lady knew that her date was a student and she still ordered expensive food. Katie stressed that if the man knew that he couldn't afford an expensive restaurant, he shouldn't have taken his date to the restaurant. Diane was for the idea that a high-maintenance woman should always be herself and shouldn't have to hold back because a man can't afford to pay for her food. Steve Harvey advised men to know the lay of the land before offering to take a woman on a date, and they should be ready to foot the bill if requested for the lady's company.
If you invite a woman out and ask for her company,
after the first date, two people may want to continue their relationship, which brings us to the next straight talk discussion on the show. 4. Splitting bills on dates. Unlike years back when men automatically paid the bill after a date, some women nowadays prefer splitting the bill. One of the reasons given by the panelists is the belief that a man expects to take a woman home with them after paying for their dinner. A modern woman would rather pay for her meal so that she doesn't feel bought or obligated to go with the man. Steve Harvey was disappointed because he's a firm believer of men taking the lead and providing for their woman. According to Steve, it's the right thing for a man to do, and it's what they're supposed to do. He also had a word for the young men who'd email the show to tell him he's rich and that's why he can afford to take women on dates. Steve said that he wasn't always prosperous, and even when he was poor, he'd save to take a woman out on a date, but he'd never ask her to pay the bill. In his words, a man should choose a playground he qualifies to play in. A lot is expected of a couple, especially if they're expecting a baby, but some expectations may go a little overboard. 3. Expecting fathers and giving up alcohol. Women have mixed reactions about expecting their partner to give up drinking when they're pregnant. Harvey's panelists also had different opinions. Rachel had never been pregnant, but she wouldn't expect her partner to give up his lifestyle when she got pregnant. As a matter of fact, she'd want him to have 2 drinks and compensate for her lack of drinking. Kim has been married for over 17 years, and she's lived long enough to understand that the moment a woman starts expecting things from her husband, she'll be disappointed. Dr. V expected that her partner should be able to give up the liquor and his nights out to support the expecting mother. She pointed out that a woman was more likely to drink if her partner drank alcohol around her, so the two should cooperate and bring healthy babies into the world. According to Steve, he'd show support to his wife by not drinking around her. If a man decides to be a stay-at-home husband and let his woman be the breadwinner, many would say the man doesn't have ambition since men were supposedly created to be providers and protectors. 2. Men intimidated by successful women. For many decades, men have always been the breadwinners of the family. However, many have embraced the fact that women can also go out and look for money to support the family. Steve's panelists agreed that it was okay for a woman to be the breadwinner, and they'd support their woman if they chose that path. One had the opportunity to spend time with his kids after divorce and realized that staying at home was harder than having a 9-to-5 job because it involved working 24/7. As usual, Steve always has a specific opinion when it comes to such matters. He was trained that it's a man's job to take care of the family, and he wouldn't have it any other way. It doesn't mean that he wouldn't let his wife do business, he just wanted to be the head of the family. Men are supposedly visual creatures, but is the notion scientifically proven, or is it just a societal cliche? I saved the best for last, but first I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works. 1. Hiding behind makeup. Men always say that they want someone authentic and natural, but they also admire women with makeup. Many women are under pressure to look more beautiful, and as a result, some end up deceiving the man. The panelists unanimously agree that women don't intend to deceive a man, they only wear makeup to enhance their beauty. Steve also asked the ladies how soon they were willing to allow a man to see them without makeup, and they had different opinions on that. The panelists said that a man should love a woman because of their mind and their heart, and not their looks. They had opinions about what they thought, but Steve Harvey gave them the harsh reality. He had to stand up and put his point across. When a man sees a woman at a club or a restaurant, he approaches her because of what he sees, and not their mind or personality. Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.